When I saw that Pola-Con 9 was in Denton, Texas, I thought it would be a no-brainer that I would go out on this short 14-hour drive to go meet other people who are into this weird sub-medium within the film photography world, which is within the larger photography world. I'm realizing now that photography is basically just like a Russian nesting doll of mediums and interest. 14 hours to Texas and 14 hours back seems wild to most people, I think. Because honestly, it's a long way. It's a long drive. But it's a long drive that I'm familiar with. This would not be mine nor the Tacoma's first journey to Texas. It's kind of a every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in kind of situation. And normally I'd bring far too many cameras and gear because I was going such a long way, but I decided to check my having too many gear options anxiety at the door on this trip by simply just bringing Polaroid camera. I would only be shooting Polaroids on this trip, that's it. I'd be bringing my Polaroid I-2, which apparently I'm weird for liking, nay, loving. I'd also be bringing my Polaroid SX70 as well. Just to make it easy, as you watch this video, I'll add the ejection sounds for each camera every time I show a photo. So when you see photos taken with the Polaroid I-2, you will hear this sound. And when you see photos shot with my SX70, you'll hear this sound. First stop of the trip is I'm at the South Carolina-Georgia line here. So I'm exiting South Carolina, about to cross through Georgia, then Tennessee. I'm gonna stay the night in Tennessee, and then off to Texas to Pola-Con. So today is day 269 of my 365 project, and I have yet to take a photo. So I decided to stop here at the South Carolina state line and see if I could get a photo today. Maybe not, I don't know. There might not be anything for me here, but we'll see. So I'm gonna go to this overlook here. Okay, this is the Chattooga River, and yeah, I'm not seeing it. Listen, a pack of Polaroid film is only 8 shots, and sometimes you gotta say no. Just say no to the shot. It's not worth it. Sometimes it's just not worth it. And honestly, it's kind of gloomy. The weather's not great today because there is a hurricane that's coming up through Florida and gonna dump its nastiness here. So, not ideal conditions, although I am currently on track to escape those conditions on this drive. Although I think I'll hit some rain today. I'll probably just go to Old Reliable Spot today to take a photo just to commemorate it. My cool Polaroid bag. My buddy Matt Lewis of Upstate Film Walk found this for me at a thrift store. And now it's like my little, holds my I-2. It's cute, it's handy. It's like a fanny pack, kind of. This is a cool blind spot. Oh, all right, let's roll. If you followed the double negative cinematic universe for a while, you'll notice that this first leg of the drive is familiar. I'd start off my drive by driving through the mountains west toward Tennessee. This has been an extremely rough and rainy drive. The weather has been terrible, but the leaves are changing here in my cool normal spot to shoot stuff. And so it looks pretty nice. The Akoi trees actually are starting to get spots of orange. I don't know if my Polaroid's gonna be able to make that out or not, but we're here. I don't see the weather getting that much better. We've got a break in the rain. So I'm gonna go shoot day 269. Run. Okay. I don't know if you can hear me, but Yeah, this is cool. Again, I don't know if the Polaroid will pick it up. Pick up the splotchiness. But yeah, it looks cool. Okay. 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 Whew. Thought I dropped my Polaroid. Okay. It's right here. Got it right here. I'm gonna put it in the Everyday Instant travel binder, which I'm sure after this week will fill up quite fast. But, you know, so far, there we go. And just for reference, I have an updated Polaroid I-2, as I've discussed in a past video. And so I just shot that on auto at regular settings. I didn't do the minus 2/3 of a stop thing. I just trusted it. So I don't know, it's a good test to see. It's pretty dark and cloudy. I figured there's not a ton of light, so I think it'll probably work just fine. Next stop, Chattanooga. So why Chattanooga? Well, my original plan was to drop into Chattanooga and pick up my friend who was gonna join me on this long road trip. But that friend bailed last minute. He bailed at the last second. The only reason I can tell is that he hates instant film and also is too weak to handle the long drive. I won't shame him by naming any names.
Woody.
So hey, this was a pretty chill way to start the drive, a drive I'm very familiar with at only 4 hours. It was nice, aside from the constant torrential rain on the way there. We are now leaving Chattanooga. I think I'm gonna make a run for Texas. I thought I was gonna stop in Louisiana, but I think I'm just gonna end the day crossing into Texas, hopefully. So that's about a 10-hour drive. Yikes. Oh, that was almost a catastrophe. I don't have a lid on my coffee. This is poorly planned out. It should be a bumpy ride because the roads in Alabama, oh, well, it's bumpy here, but the roads in Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana are famously terrible. And in fact, I have driven them many times, so I can say that from experience. Okay, so 10 hours exactly to get to Tyler, Texas. It says I will be there around 4:32. Obviously, I'm gonna stop a few times, I imagine. But who knows, Tyler may have some interesting stuff. Get there about dinner time. I'll have to arrange a place to stay. And tomorrow morning, we'll head to Pola-Con. I'm in Alabama, just getting gas. I have just passed through Birmingham, Alabama, so got a while to go. You know, I'm probably 8 hours away from Texas. It's nice and cool outside. Hurricane Helene, bringing some nice wind, nice breezes to Alabama. South Carolina's not gonna fare so well, sounds like, or Georgia, and maybe even Tennessee. I need coffee. Oh, would you look at that? The Starbucks, right near where I'm standing. Amazing. I'm not a big fan of Starbucks. They made me a pour over of the light roast so I used to work at Starbucks, and I believe the Pike Place, medium roast, and I know this may get me in trouble. Maybe, I guess, who cares? Pike Place tastes like hot dogs. The medium roast at Starbucks tastes like hot dogs. And you may not have thought that, but now you're going to go to Starbucks, you're going to have the medium roast, and you're going to realize it tastes like hot dogs. It's undeniable. I've ruined it for you. I'm sorry. We can't be too picky about coffee on a road trip such as this. That said, I did bring my own Chemex water boiler setup, so maybe I can be a little picky on this trip. I'm in Texas. 10 hours of driving under my belt. Well, really more like 12. I stopped a lot to pee and move my legs and stuff. Not a lot of photo taking opportunities. I got a few good ones. Maybe a couple good ones. But I am fried. I'll get up in the morning. I'm still 2 hours away from Denton, Texas, where Pola-Con's taking place, so I still have a little bit of driving left, but I'm most of the way there now. Fortunately, this hotel is right behind a Best Buy, and I happened to run out of hard drive space when I got here with all this footage. So I ran into Best Buy a little bit ago, got another external hard drive. So I'm just gonna chill the rest of the night. See you tomorrow. So where I live in South Carolina ended up being right in the path of Hurricane Helene, and a lot of people I love are in the path of this storm. So it was kind of hard on this day to focus really on having fun when I was kind of worried about everybody's safety. It's been a crazy morning. So as I was leaving South Carolina, Hurricane Helene was coming up from Florida, and the line where the storm was going right to my house in South Carolina. So, I get a call from my wife this morning, basements, taking on water, all that stuff. Crazy. A lot of people in my town without power, tons of trees down. No tree down at my house. Fortunately, I guess the one that was wanted to really fall fell a few months ago, if you remember. There used to be a shed right there, a yard, and now it's just a tree. But yeah, it's just really rough over there. No one's got power. All morning I've been just talking through this emergency situation, and you know, it's just weird. It's weird to have left, and then, you know, everyone you know is like going through this thing, and you're just like sitting in Texas eating hotel breakfast, and the weather's like delightfully crisp outside. So pretty scary, to be honest. So that's kind of taken over my morning. I had a lot of people in the path of this storm, so it's been like a really nerve-wracking few hours. And as far as I can tell, to everyone I've been able to get in contact with, which is most of them at this point, everyone's good. Everyone's fine. Just, you know, no one has power. It's just a mess. Really, really dangerous storm. I have a lot of guilt not being there. But yeah, so everyone's fine. Everyone's fine. But scary stuff, you know. One big storm that just plows through, like, you know, a large chunk of my loved ones. It's not fun. So next thing to do is drive to Denton, Texas, which is about, you know, 2.5 hours away. So not much of a drive today, which is good because I drove 10 hours yesterday and I'm tired of driving. And then, yeah, I'll just be having Polaroid fun for the next couple days, and then I'll start making my way back home. And after a drive through the seemingly infinite construction in Dallas, Texas, I finally made it to Denton. Okay, so I made it to Denton, Texas. Got time to kill. I'm just walking around. Haven't shot a photo of the day today yet, so that's probably what I'm gonna do next. Wandered around town a little bit, and eventually I started seeing other people walking around with giant instant cameras. So I followed them back to their hive.
And they make stuff really cheap there.
No, don't say this.
Which one is that? It's so thick.
Pola-Con had begun, and I would be spending the rest of the afternoon making new friends and talking about the nitty-gritty of instant film. I also did manage to get some Texas brisket, albeit in sandwich form. What's cool about meetups like Pola-Con is that you meet people from all over the place who are making work and doing things that I've never even considered, I've never even thought of. Take Jim, for instance. What have you done with this camera right here?
I just took an Instax 100, chopped the nose off, and stuck it on the back of this 455.
And how do they look? Do you have one you shot?
Let's see, I just shot this one. A little overexposed, but whatever.
Sharp.
It's so sharp, yeah.
And then this one is an I-type, 1-step 2. Whoopsie, sorry, wrong camera. A 1-step 2 stuck on the back. I just did this one 3 weeks ago, so I'm still testing it.
So that one's shooting 600 then?
Yeah, I-type.
It's
yeah.
I-type.
I-type.
It's 600 without a battery.
And you're cutting these cameras and grafting them onto.
Well, I had to cut this camera up. Yeah, this one you don't have to modify this camera. You just have to take the back off and stick this in, and it works.
Oh my gosh!
So no cutting required, and you don't have to cut the I-type too.
He also hosted a workshop during Pola-Con, going deeper into his modding work, which was a wild time.
Question for you, Jim. So there's no plug here originally.
No plug up here.
So how do you know what? I mean, like, how do you know what to put in there?
Okay, so
you drill a hole, but then like, what is it?
It just works.
It just works.
Are you interrupting the electric eye?
Yeah.
Like, is it just subverting the
what
signal?
happens that inside here, if I should have brought a circuit board, but when you open this up, There's the circuit board, and the only space to stick anything was right here.
I see.
And that was like, there's a little teeny space so that the plug will fit just perfectly. Like it was actually a perfect fit.
He made me want to take a hacksaw to some of my cameras just to see what would happen. I'm not actually going to do that. That sounds like a terrible idea, and I'm not engineer minded at all. I would just be destroying cameras. I don't need to do that. What's also wild about this trip is that I met people who knew what double negative was, which is crazy to me that anyone would know whatever it is I'm doing here. You make these videos and you see numbers associated with it, but it's hard to remember that there are actual human beings behind those numbers, that those numbers represent people that are checking out what I've got cooking over here. But thanks to everybody that said hi. It really meant a lot. It was super cool to meet all of you. I heard somewhere recently that when you take something on and build something, that you need green lights about every 30 days in order to keep you gassed up and fueled up to keep going on the hard journey that is building something. And I think in the years I've been doing this and being full-time and even being part-time as a photographer, I think that's true, is that every so often you need a little bit of a boost to remind you that what you're doing is good and that maybe it's even working. So again, another reason to go to events like this is that you tend to get a lot of encouragement, which is always nice. Okay, so let's talk about the Polaroid I-2 thing. Apparently, it's somewhat of an unpopular camera. And I wouldn't say it's unpopular. There were a lot of people with Polaroid I-2s at the event. I would just say that maybe it's a bit of a disappointing camera to a lot of instant film enthusiasts. A couple weeks ago, if you remember, I released a sermon about my year with the Polaroid I-2, and I talked about how much I loved the camera and how much I appreciated it. Was grateful for the current state of instant film. So the people at Pola-Con who knew what double negative was had in all likelihood seen that video. So most everyone who came up to me to say hi talked to me about the Polaroid I-2 because I've unwittingly been maybe the most vocal about liking the camera, which I really had no awareness of. And this was made clear during the State of the Emulsion panel at Pola-Con, where panelists from Instant Film Society who hosted this event talked about kind of what's going on right now in instant film, because you never know. You never know what's going on in instant film. They asked a question to everybody in the group and specifically just asked, who loves the Polaroid I-2? And without thought, I raised my hand. And it turns out I was pretty much the only one that raised my hand. Well, actually, one other person kind of half raised their hand, and we did finger guns to each other. But I definitely exposed the most embarrassing amount of enthusiasm of anyone in the room to that question. And then it became kind of a session where everybody went off about what they did not like about the Polaroid I-2, which is fair. There are issues with it. But then finally I was asked why I love it. And I basically just told the truth. I love how you can't replace the battery. It's the best feature, hands down. Forced obsolescence is awesome. Who wants decades-old cameras? Who wants to use the same camera for decades on end? It's ridiculous. No one wants that. That's not fun. When has that ever been cool? But in all seriousness, my answer was obviously, if you watch this channel, is that it has a very accessible double exposure feature where I don't have to use an app in order to access it. And that's pretty much it. But also, since I've used the Polaroid I-2 every day this year, I've really grown attached to it. I've grown quite fond of it because I've kind of learned how to work with its quirks and even embrace them. So maybe I like the Polaroid I-2 because of a weird form of Stockholm syndrome. But either way, I still love it unabashedly, and I'm unashamed to say it because now I've been outed for the fact that I'm the Polaroid I-2 guy, I guess. Multiple people have said that. So yeah, that's apparently I'm the one. But hey, throw down in the comments if you love the Polaroid I-2. I'd love to see more of us rise up. There are dozens of us, apparently. Dozens. As far as Denton is concerned, it's a cool little town. Kind of an odd place, if I'm being honest. Not in a bad way, but odd in that for being so small, it had a lot going on. Also, they're really into Halloween. This place goes hard on Halloween, man. Part of Pola-Con was a morning mural photo walk, and I felt like I was in my element. An early morning crawl through a small town with a full cup of coffee in my hand while taking photos. That's like my whole thing.
I got it all.
Everywhere lately. The cyber beast.
Artifacts, defects, all the things.
There's music?
Walking music. There's always background music. We got
Walking
music. I got an S64 on my phone right now. It shows the shutter.
But eventually, things were starting to come to a close for me, and I needed to get back on the road, start heading home. I wanted to take a more relaxing, slow trip back, but due to what happened with Hurricane Helene, I kind of felt this obligation to get back home sooner rather than later. And so that was that. I would leave early morning and start my drive back with a beautiful, inspiring sunrise. What a great note to end on. Except, unfortunately, I couldn't really end on that note.
Okay, so we've hit a snag. I'm pretty sure that's the problem right there.
I had made it through Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, but then my truck decided to crap out on me in Alabama. In Montgomery, I started to feel like something was off. My wife jokes that I'm one with my truck, so I can feel kind of the slightest change in how it's driving, because I've been driving it so long and I've driven it such long distances. And I was starting to feel it pull. I was starting to feel like it wanted to decelerate, kind of lose power a little bit. Like it just was tired. Like it didn't want to go as much as I needed it to go. And then the battery light came on. So fortunately, I was able to make it to Auburn, Alabama, where I have family who helped me out. They put me over the place to stay and gave me some tips on maybe where I could go get my truck checked out. I started off by going to an AutoZone where my theory was confirmed. My alternator was dying. I found a mechanic the next morning, shout out to University Tire and Auto in Auburn, who got me fixed up and back on the road within an hour. It was awesome. So then I was able to get back on the road for my final 4 hours of this really fun trip. We are back in business. It's not even 9 o'clock yet, and I'm back in business. That's crazy. Great work. Shout out University Tire and Auto in Auburn, Alabama. They're great, super nice people. So yeah, if you ever get stranded in Auburn, go there. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get home with all the hurricane damage. So grocery stores just opened back up where I live, but they're not like super stocked at the moment. So I'm actually gonna get some groceries here in Alabama, throw it in the cooler and bring it home. So that's the state of the Southeast right now. I've been living on a proverbial island doing my thing for a long time. And so I don't get to hang out with people who are into the same stuff as I am very often. So I find when I make the time and effort to go to events like Pola-Con, I come back refreshed and refueled and even inspired by just the pure creativity that people are bringing to this event. It's honestly probably the closest I come to feeling what vacation is like. And so that's it. The Tacoma strikes again. Another long-distance road trip in the books with this beautiful machine. I'll see ya at the next one.